Hey everybody, welcome to the cello bass video for Vibrato here on Orchestra on the Go. And I'm doing a separate video for the cello and bass because I've given you the link and the resources to Jeremy Wustenhum's video, but I wanted to give you a few other things that I've collected from cellists and bassists. Again, I'm not either of those. But again, I've talked to a lot of people and worked with several people, and these were some really wonderful things that they had to say. So I would figure out in the classroom when you're introducing vibrato, you can do this with the entire class, with everyone sitting there, and just have the violins, violas do this along with the cellos and basses. But you want to focus on the lower strings. I would do that first, just so you get them set up, and then you can give more of your attention to the violins and violas. So the first thing you're going to do is we're going to do this exercise. You're going to hold out your right hand, make a fist with your left hand, keep your elbow nice and straight, okay, and bend here at the elbow, and you're just going to pound your other hand, doing this, feeling this motion back and forth. You can give the kids an egg shakers. And I do that with the violins and violas. I actually we'll talk about that in the other video, put a shaker on their hand. Cellos basses can just hold the shaker, okay? And we're just doing this motion, okay? So that would be the first thing that I would have them internalize that motion. And you can have them do it on their knee. I mean, you can have them, do some variations of that. And then when you get to level 1 of the vibrato exercises that Jeremy outlines on in his book and on that video on the website that I've referenced, then they're going to be opening that elbow, coming here, bending at the elbow. And you can do this exercise right here on the cello. Give yourself a little platform and start pounding. You can bring it up a little bit and pounding that. And we can put the metronome on and do 8th notes, then 16ths, or go back to 8ths, okay? But I would get the cellos and basses doing this motion. This is the motion that a lot of cellists and bassists have preferred, rather than the doorknob motion that is sometimes promoted. Okay, so we're going to go at that. So that's sort of a preliminary exercise that before you sort of get into these levels of vibrato that Wustenhum talks about. So level 1 is going to be doing this. I would take all of your fingers, including the thumb, and we're just going to go up and down, polishing the strings. My fingers are in between strings. It doesn't really matter. We're going to put the metronome on 66. And we're going to continue to make that motion that we were doing with our pounding. We can even still have our hand there for tactile feeling. Okay, take it away and have that feeling right there. Then level 2, which is week 2, we'll call it weeks. He says that the next level that you want to do is to get the thumb anchored. I'm not going to say locked because that's a bad word. You don't want to use locked with the kids, but anchored there in the crook of the neck. And we're again going to do that same motion. Now, what for cellos and basses, you want to get to the place that they get this clunk with their hand. So we're just polishing until we can feel that clunk of the instrument. Okay, and you can work that up in different rhythms. You can do triplets, you can do 16ths. Okay, but we're going to get that stationary, and then maybe towards the end of the week you could bring it up here. And just have that polishing feel while your first finger or your thumb is anchored. Okay, level 3, Wustenhum talks about using the purfling of the instrument. Now this is a tricky one. I've fiddling around with this, and so what I think works best is if your thumb is on the lip of the cello, and you put your, let's start with second finger on the lip here. What he's talking about is a reactionary motion of his hand. And again, I'm still working on this. This is tricky. Okay, there it is. So the finger is, we're getting loose fingers, and that's really what he's talking about. So I could put the metronome on. That pulling away, it's harder with first finger. And also tell the kids, you know, you don't have to go as far with first finger, it's a smaller finger. So 1, 2, and 1, and 2, and 1. Of course, it'll be easier on 16ths. Little less nebulous. So second, third, and I would do 3 and 4 together on cello and bass. And that's just a finger loosening activity that he has on week 3. And then for week 4, he goes into polishing the string. And what we're doing there is we're going to just literally pick a finger, polish the string on, and this is harmonic pressure he talks about. So you're, as if you're playing a harmonic, your thumb is traveling, you can do first finger, third finger, and you're just doing that same motion with the elbow and polishing the string. And he says towards the end of the week, you can start sticking it, and it doesn't matter where you are. You want to just push down until you can't move anymore. So then go polish, 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 pushing until you can't move anymore. Polish, 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 polish to stick till you can't move anymore. And then he does this for level 5. You would do this on different notes. So you would polish, stick, polish, and this very small, the radius of how far you're moving has now diminished greatly. Polish and then stick. Polish and then stick. And then, of course, with your metronome, you're doing this with the class in increments. And I think he's a little faster on this one. It's harder to do it really slow. I think he's up here. By this point, you're moving faster. Polish, stick, polish, stick. Okay, and then level 6 would be to go back and do all of these exercises with the bow. So you'd probably want to do another bunch of weeks where maybe you want to do another 5 weeks of this so that you're doing it with the bow. So for instance, if you back all the way up to the beginning, you're going to do this. Just keeping that hand moving. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to my metronome. Kids get to make a lot of fun sounds. Okay, then you go to level 2. This is all on D string. And make sure they're feeling that. Okay, level 3 would be go back to put it on the purfling. This one's much harder to do on the lower strings. Okay, and then level 4, you're back to polishing. Oh, actually, this one, go back to level 3. You have to bow with it. So you do that with the bow. Then level 5 is you're going to polish. Okay, and then you'll go up to 16ths. So polish. Okay, and then if you go to the reference video on my site there, you'll see that he makes up other exercises. He also starts with no vibrato to fast, and then no vibrato. Okay, and then so you want to build that into your planning, that you look at those different types. He also talks about accenting, so starting really fast as for an accent. Okay, and then crescendos, you can start slow and get faster. And then decrescendos. So that you can change the speeds of the vibrato. And he also talks about keeping in mind that even though you're doing this for all of the instruments, the bass and cello vibrato ultimately are going to end up slower than the violin and viola. So we don't want to make the cellos and basses try and vibrate as fast as the upper strings, because that's not in their nature. As the strings get thicker and lower, the oscillations of the notes get wider. So we want them to feel a little slower than a violin vibrato. Okay, this is the lower string video, and check out my other video on the upper strings. And I've given you a few more resources. If you're one of my students, go back and check some of these levels where you needed to do a little refresher, and then go ahead and start vibrating. Okay, everyone, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in orchestra on the go. Take care.